Hey everybody, it's Golmadex, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. And today we're going to be playing another Premier Draft of Pioneer Masters, this time for the first time with the new Spells bonus sheet. So if you've seen any of the previous drafts or you've drafted the format previously, there have been Planeswalkers on the bonus sheet, so there is one card from that bonus sheet in every pack. So there were a lot of cards that would be like the Oaths that get better if you have a Planeswalker on the board, and of course a high quantity of Planeswalkers. But now the bonus sheet is just spells. This is kind of the loosest theming for the bonus sheets in this format. It's just a bunch of instants and sorceries that they needed to add to Arena to fill out the Pioneer format. So there will be some like really efficient removal spells that could be great to draft, but a lot of these are going to be kind of Pioneer constructed focused cards like Enter the Infinite, which is like a 12 mana sorcery or something, just like impossible to use in draft. So we'll see. It could be interesting here. I think for the most part, this will be the most simple and the least exciting of the bonus sheets, but it is nice to get a little bit of variety in between the Planeswalkers and the really cool bonus sheet coming up, which is the Devotion bonus sheet in a couple weeks. So without further ado, let's just hop into this draft and go ahead and see what kind of spells lie in wait for us on the spells bonus sheet. And I will mention real quick for anybody who was wanting more Bloomberg Arena Directs, I did make an oopsie. I thought that the Arena Direct was going to be taking place through the entirety of Saturday and Sunday because the event was scheduled for those days, but it actually ended at 10 in the morning on Sunday. So by the time that I got on today to start recording, the Bloomberg Arena Direct was already off, so I'm pretty disappointed about that, but we do have a Pioneer Masters Arena Open coming up in just another like week and a half. It'll be not this weekend, but next weekend. So still some cool competitive Magic coming up. All right, so here we are now for our pack one, pick one. Tons of really sweet options. I'm probably just going to go for the Seed Guardian here. Just very impressed by this card. A 4 mana 3/4 that dies into a 1/1 is already a fine card, specifically a 4 mana 3/4 with Reach as well. But it's pretty easy to have some other creatures in your graveyard for this just by having an aggressive curve, or ideally, you can really make this large if you're in a self-mill deck. So I like Seed Guardian in literally any green deck, so it's pretty flexible, but it also becomes incredibly powerful when you are the self-mill strategies. So I like rolling with that, but Dreadbore is also absurdly good removal. This does get a little bit weaker now that the Planeswalker bonus sheet is gone, because that was one of the best things about it, is there weren't a ton of ways to just straight up destroy target Planeswalker. This was one of your ways to do that. There are some really good multi-card uncommons like Catacomb Sifter and Tomebound Lich here, but I'm not a huge fan of this rare. It is the kind of card that's going to be really great when you are in a good position on board, but there's going to be a lot of positions that you're in that it is not going to be worth that 5 mana. Say you're just racing each other, you both have like one creature on board or two creatures. 5 mana draw 2 or 5 mana draw 1 is really, really bad. So for pick 2 now, I believe all of the Fuse split spells have been added in the spells bonus sheet. So this is a new card to the format. Down and Dirty. Just a big card advantage play. It's very expensive for either half of these naturally. And the real value here is when you potentially get to cast both halves together, which means that you really ideally want 7 mana to use this, in which case it is kind of a huge blowout if they still have some cards in hand. But that is really narrow, an 8 mana sorcery pretty much. I mean, I honestly don't see a ton that's excellent in this pack. The Archaeologist does play pretty well with the Seed Guardian being another self-mill card and just a good early blocker. So that might be the most reasonable pick, or like Extricator's interesting. Yeah, I'll just go for the Archaeologist here, but not the most excited about that pack. For pick 3, Bile Blight. I'm not sure if this is from the spells bonus sheet, but it could be. One of my least favorite things about this format is the fact that they don't mark what is on the bonus sheet and what isn't. There is no visual indicator where these cards are coming from, so I can't tell really outside of experience which card in each pack comes from the bonus sheet. So that's a little annoying, but it is what it is. So this just looks like a great removal spell. It's restrictive though, you need double black, so that is a bit of an issue. Big fan of Possessed Scab. It's a 2-for-1 basically no matter what. It's really easy to have an instant sorcery or creature in your graveyard. One of the most flexible graveyard recursion creatures they've ever printed. There's the Graveyard Recursion spell here, but again, having the creature stacked onto it or tacked onto it is what makes the Possessed Scab so much better. Yeah, I feel like double black's probably restrictive enough. We can take the Scab over that removal spell. Pick 4 now. Dreadbore's still hanging around. Probably the strongest card in the pack, even without the Planeswalker's bonus sheet. There are still a couple Planeswalkers in the format, technically. I think all of the flip Planeswalkers from Magic Origins are in the main set. Those are the creatures that you have to meet some kind of condition to flip them into their spicy Planeswalker half later. So we are dancing around with almost every color right now, but that's fine when we're this early in the draft. We're only on pick 5 right now. I imagine Open the Armory is probably from the spell's bonus sheet, and it's just not viable in draft. Sin Collector is the strongest card. If your opponent has an instant or sorcery in your hand, it is a great 2-for-1. But Skirmisher plays pretty well with the Archaeologist. If we go like blue-green Self-Mill, we fill our graveyard with creatures with that little combo, and the creatures have the Embalm ability to come back later. I do like that synergy. Evolving Wild's probably also a pretty high pick if we're just going to stay this open and keep bouncing around all the different colors. Profit and Loss. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of most of these fuse spells. They're just kind of a lot of mana. Could be a big blowout in the right position during combat, but it seems a little too inconsistent for that large mana cost. Just go for the excellent Dreadhound finisher out of black. Some combination of Sultai here. All right, pick 7 Nyx Weaver. Solid stuff towards Golgari Self-Mill. Don't mind that. If we want to play a really aggressive blue deck, the Cloudfin Raptor does play quite well as well. But I like the green-black deck a lot. Probably overdraft it. Well, maybe we're still blue-black. Pick 8 Tomebound Lich into pick 9 Tomebound Lich could be a thing. We'll see. I think the Lich is deceptively good. Just setting up your draws by drawing a card, discarding a card every turn is great. And the Death Touch lifelink makes it pretty likely to keep chipping in at your opponent and keeping your life total a little stable there. So I like the Lich a little better than Possessed Scab. Not a lot better, but a little. Yeah, double Lich. Although, Catacomb Sifter as well. So Golgari or Dimir here. Green, blue, or blue, black. Just gonna play like the 3-color deck every single time. Sultai every time. Now let's lock in towards blue-black here. I like the double Tomebound Lich with the Tall Crop Skirmisher that has that ability we can recast from Grave. Feels like some good value there. We can draft more cards that work well with it. Now I can go ahead and start taking some Evolving Wilds. Black Bloom Rogue, Palaka Predation. These are fine filler cards, because if you get 2 of these, you can easily replace a land for 2 of these cards, and then it makes your deck less likely to get mana flooded and less likely to get mana screwed that way. So that is one of the nicest ways to use those cards, potentially. Another Tall Crop Skirmisher plays really well with the Double Lich and the Dreadhound to self-mill those. Seems fun. I've got the Archaeologist also putting in some self-mill. Alright, fun little Dimir self-mill deck. See where we go from here. I don't mind an Ingenious Scab in this deck either. There is a really good instant for this archetype, or for this color pair, that destroys a non-zombie creature and returns a zombie from your graveyard to your hand. This is the most zombie-centric color pair. So if we see that removal spell, we'll be really happy to take it. We already have, like, 5 zombies. Can take more of them. Alright, pack 2, pick 1. Stormtide Leviathan's a lot of mana, at 8 mana. But if your opponent cannot kill it, they kind of just lose. Unless they're specifically blue-white flyers. But most of the time you play this, your opponent can't attack you anymore, and you have an 8/8 unblockable. It ends the game real quick. I have played it once before. I liked it quite a bit, but that was in a deck that was playing really slow and grindy every game anyway. There's not really a lot else here for a blue-black deck, so I don't mind taking a Stormtide Leviathan here. Having that is a pretty fun win condition. Pack 2, pick 2. The Undead Butler, another zombie that self-mills a lot. Let's get some cards engraved for Delve, like Gurmag Angler. Maybe mill a bomb card like the Skirmisher. Mill some stuff to pick up a Scab. Butler seems like a great synergy piece here that we can take over the Flyer or the other self-mill card. Ooh, sweet. We got the Denrova Horror here. Bounce the permanents and make your opponent discard a card. Very nice 2-for-1 on that 4/4 body. There's also a Guildgate for fixing. If we want to get super bold, based on the fact that we wield all the Tomebound Liches and assume that we'll wield that, we can do that. The problem is that there is a 5-color Gates deck in this format, and that's going to be around for every bonus sheet. And if anybody is drafting 5-color Gates, they can just take a big, strong, multicolored card like that, and we won't wheel it. So I'm just going to lock that in and take it, and we're going to do the same here for another Denrova Horror. Pick 5. Ingenious Scab. We are not going to be a great deck for Nantuko Husk. We're not going to have a lot of good sacrificial fodder. Could take that Golgari Guildgate. Splash in some green nonsense. But I think we're in a pretty excellent position to just be a streamlined 2-color deck. And I pretty much always prefer that in most formats. Anchor to the Aether. Fine tempo removal. Ooh, this Great Aurora thing is almost definitely from the spells bonus sheet. Yeah, this does feel like it's going to be the biggest miss of a bonus sheet, because there's going to be a lot of cards like the Great Aurora that's just like, alright, well, I can't really ever draft that. Basically like Warp World. It's just like a big commander fun spell, and that's it. Notion Thief is going to be very, very weak. Like the low end of mediocre in 9 out of 10 matchups. But the 1 out of 10 times when your opponent casts a card draw spell and you respond with it, it'll be pretty great. So do I take it over Gurmag Angler? I don't think so. I'm just going to take the big zombie fish. Another large finisher. Okay, I've got a lot of these big finishers now. I really don't think I need the Kraken. So I will take an Nantuko Husk. Another Angler. Probably better than a touch of Moonglove. Oh my god, definitely. This card is really bad. Creature dealt damage by this creature. Dies a certain controller, loses 2. Yeah, you don't even like reanimate the creature you target with. That is horrible in draft. And I feel like that is also from the spells bonus sheet. Could try to Mizium skin my Leviathan, but that's pretty narrow. Basically anything else I don't really care enough to play like a negate for. See, if I get every Nantuko Husk in the draft pod, then they'll eat each other? I don't know. Maybe there's some synergy there. Now, you really want token production or stuff that reanimates itself from the graveyard consistently. And there's not going to be a lot of that. Okay, well, there's token production off of Murmuring Mystic. We need a lot more instants and sorceries for that, ideally. People have been absolutely scooping up all of the removal and counter spells and everything, because we've taken it pretty much every chance we could, and we have basically no removal, so that is awkward. But because my pick order right now is such that I will take a good instant or sorcery over almost any creature, I think the Murmuring Mystic should hopefully play well by the time the draft is done. We've got a whole pack to get more instants and sorceries for it. There we go, there's a solid counter spell. I think with our removal being this light, we want the counterspell over the bounce spell, because this technically permanently deals with whatever you're countering. You just have to have it up at the right time. Okay, Treasure Cruise, big card draw spell for the late game, seems fine. Return Centaur doesn't seem terrible for this deck, but I think I have more than enough for self-mill for the amount of cards I have that benefit from it. Easy Guildgate. We are on 27 non-land cards here and 2 lands. So we need to cut some stuff. Probably a Supernatural Stamina. I do have two of these spell lands, so these flip cards, I can play two of these and cut one land for them, so I have three of my lands ready there, which means I need 14 more. Right now I have room for 12 more cards, so I can still cut two more, so let's just cut the husks. Looks like. Yeah, this deck looks perfectly fine. It really just needs more removal, and it does not look like anybody in the draft pod is going to give that to us. So this is probably just exactly what the deck's going to be by the end of the draft, but we'll see. Yeah, I mean, we can play some really mediocre removal. This always kills your opponent's worst creature on their board, but if you're lucky and you can get in a position where they only have one creature on board, then it does play well. So you're just really trying to set up for that. Yeah, low enough on removal, I'm taking it. Goodbye, final Nantuko Husk. Another Skirmisher, but I like the Fellstinger card draw too. Take a Fellstinger, cut a Gurmag Angler here. I have two Anglers and a Treasure Cruise, and you really don't want to go overboard on Delve cards. They're all eating each other's lunch, so to speak, where they're all trying to utilize the same resource. So if you have two Delve cards in your hand, second one gets stuck in your hand because the first one already exiled your whole grave. I don't care too much about any of this, but I could run two copies of Devour Flesh. I really don't want to. Yeah, I'm just gonna not. I could have still taken that 2-1 flyer, but again, I think I would have just cut that as well. Maybe a 2-1 flyer of an Ingenious Scab would be fine here. Another Void Shatter over the Scatter. Harder to cast, but more flexible. I do really need more ways to deal with specifically creatures, though, so I don't actually mind that Scatter can only hit creatures. That efficiency is valuable to me. Well, here's where I can make up for literally skipping a pick and just get a Zephyr Winder anyway, but then I'm just going to cut it. And play another Undead Butler, maybe. This is not a great Gust of Wind deck. I'm very low on flyers. It's also not a great Undead Butler deck. It's really just to dirtle around till we get to high mana costs and then play great stuff. That's our game plan. We've got a lot of relevant stuff here. I feel like the Archaeologist might have somehow ended up looking better than the Undead Butlers here, because we didn't get any of the zombie synergy spells that pick up a zombie from your graveyard. Yeah, Archaeologist is probably literally just a better version of the Undead Butler for us. It's the mill 3, but sometimes it picks up a good spell for us. Definitely cut a land for our two spell lands. And then, like, cut a creature here. Yeah. Should be simple. Got the caps lock on. Sweet. When it enters mill 3, whenever a creature dies or is put in a graveyard from anywhere, each opponent loses 1. We've got a high creature count. Yeah, we have a high creature count. Dreadhound is going to be good. I don't love that we are really clumped up on high mana value cards, but that is just how the deck has ended up here. I think these are still all much stronger than the cheaper cards. So we cut one of those. Just get rid of the last Ingenious Scab. We're sitting on 18 blue cards and 11 black. On a 50-50 split right now. Let's add another island, cut a swamp, and call it a deck. Yeah. Looks fine to me. Some pretty basic stuff here. I don't know the spells bonus sheet just by memory, but I don't think we're playing anything off of it. Void Shatter might be. I don't remember if Void Shatter was in the format before, but that's the only card that looks like maybe. We did see a lot of cards during the draft that I recognize as like, yeah, that wasn't in the format before. Like the big green 9 mana mythic and stuff like that. And it does seem like most of these spells bonus sheet cards just don't matter. I think the biggest change that the format is going to have here is that you don't have to worry about dealing with planeswalkers every other game anymore. So you don't have to run as many ways to potentially like destroy target planeswalker or deal damage to a planeswalker or try to break through to kill a planeswalker. You can probably run a little bit less interaction now in that sense, so it's less that the spells bonus sheet is going to be particularly good and add anything really nice to the format, and it's more that there's something the format has had up to now that is now lacking. Now that those planeswalkers are gone, you don't have to worry about the answers to planeswalkers as highly. So yeah, it seems to be shaping up about how I imagined, but we'll see how it works actually in gameplay. I mean, everything we saw in our draft pot again, just really expensive sorceries like 9 mana cards, a tutor for an aura or an enchantment. All of the fuse spells are a bit overcosted for draft. It just seemed like it was a bunch of stuff that was just like not not really important for the draft environment, but we'll see. We are going to hop into the gameplay here, see how this does, but most importantly, see if that spells bonus sheet really changes anything here. Will we see some actually kind of spicy plays from our opponents with some of the cards that we may not have seen or may have undervalued during the draft? Without further ado, let's hop into the gameplay and see how this bonus sheet shapes up. Here we are on the play for game one. We don't have a black source, so we don't cast anything until turn 4. I think that's got to be a mulligan. All right, this does not look bad. Start beating down with a Cloudfin Raptor on turn 2. I forgot we have a cantrip in this deck as well to consider. It's possible this deck could actually cut another land, because we have a cantrip where if we have an opening hand with an island and not enough mana, this digs us 2 cards closer by surveilling one and drawing a card. And then we also have the 2 split cards that are a spell or a land, depending on what we need at the time. Solid start for us here. Wild Slash the Raptor. Tragic. Tome-bound Lich. Alright, well, we need to consider real estate here. And we did not. Send a message of 0 damage to our Gates opponent's face. Almond kept music going hard. Alright, come on out, Tomebound Lich, because I need more mana. No! Mystic with just 1 Void Shatter in hand and a huge need for mana. I'm ditching the Mystic. I should have sent the message again. 0 damage. Go on in, Archaeologist. Technically, this turn it would be even safer, because I'd still have the Lich up. Gates Ablaze, basically just a Lich. Not a bad deal for me. Remember when I was saying we could probably cut another land because we have Consider and multiple spell lands? This game is not shaping up like that, so... you know what? We ditched Leviathan and scab it back if it looks like we, like, flood out from here or something. I mean, whatever we ditch there, the plan is going to be just picking it up later if we need it. Seed Guardian. Alright, well, skip your next turn. Just replay that, please. Predation is a land, but it's also my 4th black source. I'm trying to get to 8 mana for this Leviathan. This might be greedy, but I'm going to ditch that. Try to hit a different land. Basically the same land. Yeah, I guess I'm never getting double blue for Void Shatter either, so we can ditch that as well. Just a wild mana draws. Still, okay. Well, I can easily play this Angler at least. Also scab something back. Got a million options for the scab. None of them look excellent right now, though. Anyway. Okay, 2 cards from grave are going away. Land. What card matters the least to pick up, potentially? Probably consider. I guess they have 0 creatures in grave, so if I trade the Tomebound Lich off into the Seed Guardian, they just get a 1/1. It's not a horrific trade, but I would still much prefer to potentially be able to actually like draw a card, discard a card off of it later. There's a briefcase, there's a skirmisher, and what is going on? I'm halfway through. 21 cards deep. Fit less than a third of our lands. It's pretty crazy. I guess I milled the land with an archaeologist and I surveilled 1 to the bottom. I just don't have any idea what we do here, really. It feels like we're just kind of chilling with our opponent, which is not good for us, because they are 1 mana away from 5 color for this briefcase. And the Gates deck is much more likely to have some massive blowouts in the late game. I mean, I do have the scab for the Stormtide Leviathan, so I can go really big if I need to. Of course, I am a million islands away from that still. Okay, I'm 1 island away from that now. Good draw is finally here. Could permanently kill their 1/1, make them discard a card, or make them recast the Angel. They'll gain a bunch of life. I don't think that's going to be incredibly relevant, because they're already at the point we're going to have to get a really, really big lead on the board to win. Like, I could bounce Seed Guardian, I guess. Still soaks up a chunk of their mana. I guess I bounce Seed Guardian, because that gets me an attack with the Angler here. If I bounce the Angel, the Angler still just ends up trading into the Seed Guardian and a Skirmisher, and it's not a good deal. Alright, so they just discard the Seed Guardian, so the 2 cards left in their hand are some good ones. Gust of Wind, the Angler. Polukranos is here. Okay. Green and double X to Monstrosity. I could pretty easily eat my Skirmisher. Green, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can do X as 3 right now. Okay. It's not fantastic. That's a pretty efficient turn. Just realized I get to scab and angler. Deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures your opponents control. Each of those creatures deals damage equal to its power to Pelucranos. So this, they can make it like a 9/9 that deals 4 damage across my board by the end of this game. Yeah, it's like never going to be nearly enough to kill like an 8/8. Alright, there's Nessie and Asp. No! The tap land. Tragic. Monstrous is instant speed, but they don't have the mana to activate it right now. I guess my blocks are getting sketchy if I do this, but I really just need 2 chump blocks. Wait, do they have a 3rd mana somewhere secretly? I guess it is better to kill the Citizen than the Embalmer. Yeah, they actually do have a good block for Lich. I did not realize that. I am dumb. No, we just actually killed Pelucranos. Alright, cool. Gotta turn my computer volume down. I cannot hear myself think through the Amonkhet sounds. Alright, sorry for the boo. Alright. Get our chump in there. And let's see if they can kill this. I think I need to connect for damage badly enough to let the Scab trade in a skirmisher so they can't just chump the 4. Because we have to outrace this Angel, even if they can't kill the Stormtide Leviathan. So just getting 4 more damage in there. Kind of a big deal. Especially with Sky Knight as the follow-up. What a draw. Good God. That doubles the speed of their clock and halves the speed of mine. Preventing a swing here. I think that just gets me. They would have been at 9 life right now, so they still would slightly outrace me if it didn't detain. But if they didn't have the Sky Knight, I would only be taking 3 a turn instead of 6 a turn, so yeah, if they didn't have the Sky Knight at all, we win the race. Last turn a hit, some kind of interaction or a blocker or anything. There's all the lands. Classic arena. Man, tragic game. Super, super awkward one. We dug a ton with Surveil and draw a card and discard a card, a bunch of stuff like that in the early game, and took a really, really long time to find our mana. And then once we hit it, get to that Stormtide Leviathan, that's when, in the pivotal moment, we just find the rest of it anyway. When we needed to outrace these flyers. Yeah, awkward stuff. Still a lot closer than it looked. They're technically at 9 life here against an unblockable 8/8. And even then, it was just straight up a single Liev Sky Knight from a victory for us. 0-1 heading into game 2. Alright, this is probably a bad idea. We've got all of our excellent finishers here. So we're keeping an opening hand with a really like 5-drop, 6-drop, 8-drop. But the Consider plus the Evolving Wilds does a lot of work towards the Gurmag Angler's Delve. So this actually might be like 4 mana by the time we play it. Okay, I do need that land though, because I'm trying to get to 8 mana. I'll keep the Vision. Guildgate first. If I Evolving Wilds first, I'm slightly less likely to draw another land, and again, we're trying to hit 8 drops, so I don't want to Wilds first. Perfect. All mana all day. I think I will Vision over Evolving Wilds here. It could be worth just playing this as a land. I mean, we do have the auto-win 8-drop in hand. Not an auto-win against the black deck. They can kind of destroy 8/8s. But against, like, green-red removal and stuff. Okay, there's Nyx Weaver. So I have 5 out of 8 mana here. I think I need to play stuff in the early game enough to just run this out. Ooh, Predation actually seems kind of legit. I guess if I anchor to the Aether them, it just straight up kills the Cutthroat because Nyx Weaver mills that. But I would also rather just target the Nyx Weaver anyway and actually force the redraw. Bit of a dilemma. I live in fear. I'm going to try to rip out like a bomb from their hand. Let's see what they got. Search your library for 2 creatures, reveal them, put them in your hand. Wait, put 1 into your hand, 1 in the graveyard? And then a Salumgar Butcher. Okay, well, if they keep the Butcher in their hand, then I can have the Scatter up the turn they want to actually play that. Got triple blue and triple black now. There's Oath of Nissa off the top. So they drafted this during the Planeswalker bonus sheet, but they still didn't play it yet. Because this, I'm like 100% confident this Oath of Nissa is in the Planeswalker bonus sheet. But is Gerard's Orders in the main set then? These both seem like a bonus sheet card. I'm very confused. I wish they would just stamp the cards so that you know what bonus sheet they're all from. Well, we are at the point we're just going to start doing our thing. I spent a black and 4. I need to exile 2 cards. If I exile the whole grave, I can hold up Scatter. It'll be pretty obvious, but it's kind of cool. Yeah, none of the cards in grave are things I'll want to recur later anyway. Gnarlback Rhino gets the reanimate from the Nyx Weaver. It's looking at the grave, but that thing goes to exile. Goreclaw? Nope. Alright, now we are in just a great aggressive position here. We slam in with a 5/5. We get Dreadhound damage in. We slam in with a 5/5 and a 6/6 next turn against just a 4/4 over there. Very happy with our spot. The Tomebound Lich digs for mana for Leviathan. Oh, drew another Goreclaw? Dang. We could have got them. We could have had the Legend Rule destroy them. Goodbye, Skirmisher. Wow, that was actually just the literal perfect draw. Goodbye, Gurmag Angler. Oh, go to 3 life, they say. What is their last card in hand? The rest of their hand does not look like it can compete at 3 life against this board. Audacity on Goreclaw. What else you got? Hit. So instant speed removal. They're at 3 life. Every point of damage matters a lot. So I think there's a decent chance the Tomebound Lich connects here and lets us get a draw and discard. Because they'll want to try to stop all the bigger creatures. And that draw and discard is going to help us get to the Leviathan. Alright, cool stuff. What do I got in there? Devour Flesh? They do gain life when I kill their thing. But then it's not there as a blocker anymore. Oh, I just pick up Scatter. Yeah, that's pretty gross too. Because then they don't gain the life. Perfect. Yeah, Oath of Nissa's not on the Planeswalker bonus sheet. Because Alive and Well is definitely on the spells bonus sheet. That's crazy. Alright. 3, 4, 5, 6. They go to 1 life. They're technically still in it. But they are going to scoop them up there. That is 1-1 heading into game number 3. Alright, the lack of a black source for this hand is really depressing because it's very good with a black source. To the point where I'm almost willing to gamble on drawing a swamp. And that feels too risky though. Okay, this is... depending on how much work Consider does. It's just as risky as last hand. But now the cost of mulliganing again is greater. Mulliganing down to a 5-card hand is incredibly detrimental. I still think I have to do it. Even with the Consider here, Island Consider and a Dream. I don't know, like the Angler too. God, this is rough. Yeah, mulligan to 5. Alright. We've got mana, and we hope that we draw well. Here we are. So I did, in between games, look up the bonus sheets, and it's really weird. So Oath of Gideon, Oath of Jace, and Oath of Liliana, all of the uncommon oaths were on the Planeswalkers bonus sheet, but the 2 rare oaths, Oath of Nissa and Oath of Chandra, are just in the main set. So that was what was going on with our opponent's last deck. Super weird they split them up like that, but I guess it is what it is. The rares are strong enough that they'll be good even without Planeswalkers, but the uncommons are all, I guess, more interesting with Planeswalkers around. I don't know. That's pretty filthy. The flash creature to go with the raptor. Any, like, normal combat trick would not have been that bad for us there. But the flash creature's pretty devastating. The reason trading a creature into a combat trick isn't that bad is because your opponent has to spend the whole card, put it in their grave. You spend your whole card, put it in the grave. It's just an even trade in terms of card advantage. But here they didn't have to spend a card at all. They get to keep the 4-2 around, keep the 2-3 around. They didn't spend anything to kill my creature. Well, getting pretty close to scooping here. They have a protection from blue card. I'm getting really close to scooping here. Technically, I can sit here for a few more turns and hope that I draw perfectly and they draw horrifically, and there's maybe like a 2% chance of turning this game around, but I mean, it's very likely to just be draw a card, pass turn, draw a card, pass turn, draw a card, pass turn, die. So like, if we lose this game, it's just going to be super uninteresting, and we're very, very likely to lose it. At this point, we're dead in 3 swings, so it won't be the worst in terms of time spent. This thing just has protection from like 90% of our deck. Everything we've drawn so far it has protection from. Well, it wouldn't have protection from Dreadhound, but I'm nowhere near casting that still. Alright, cool. Technically not dead next turn, but I'm over it. That game was over before it started with the rough mulligans there. Our opponent mulliganed as well, but they had a much better opening hand. The Cloudfin Raptor Flash Creature combo as well. Just really juicy stuff from them, plus the Sky Lasher that just demolishes us. So we are 1-2 heading into game number 4. All right. An insta keep this time. Very happy to say. Playing against a blue deck, let's start skirmishing. Halo Scarab. That is a fine trade for both of us. They'll be able to get a treasure later, we'll be able to get a 2-1 back later. Pretty acceptable deal. Doing pretty good on both of my colors. I'm just going to get rid of the tap land in case they draw like a good 2-mana play. Being able to play a 2-drop and hold up a scatter, or just play the skirmisher is nice with the untapped mana. Okay. Two-one really does not matter against the Ingenious Scab. So I predation them or play another Lich. Let's play another Lich. Angler. It's gonna be real cheap real soon. Maybe 4 cards in grave. Keep that. If I don't draw another land, I'll play Predation tapped. Well, will I? Technically don't have any of my powerful 6-drops in hand, but being able to play them later is valuable. If I do draw land, I'm going to cast Predation, because then I can Predation and Essence Scatter, and that'll be beautiful. Okay, I did not draw land. The Liches are still fine on this board. They could double block with Artisan and a Skirmisher, and then I kill the Artisan. Sure. Don't have to worry about any clone nonsense going on. Void Shatter. It's actually quite appealing to me. We're gonna go full control here. Full control mode. Jesse and Thief. No. Actually need another blue source. Lich trades into Scab here. Yeah, not really worth it. 5 cards from grave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shatter the Wind Rider. 1 card left in their hand. Let's see if our 5/5 can just take this. Trades into Scab and Skirmisher, and then we just get to use Lich for the rest of the game. Yeah, I think I actually attack both here. They're going to go for the kill on the Lich instead of the kill on the Angler. Interesting. And super fine with me. Obviously, they can kill the Angler with the +1/-1 abilities on that block. All right. Spells do you have up here? The Trump block for now. Hello there. Oh, do I have to spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Oh, I do have to spend 1. Interesting. The Dream Team has arrived. A Stormtide Leviathan. And a Cloudfin Raptor. It actually is the Dream Team. The Cloudfin Raptor has flying, so it can also attack while Leviathan's ability is out. Jesse and Thief. Are they actually mono blue? 16 cards deep. Alright, well I guess we'll just go for lethal instead of anything else. Yeah. 2 and 1 or 1 and 1? 100% sure right now. I broke it up by looking through the bonus sheets, so my mind is completely elsewhere right now. Oh, we're 2 and 2. That's right. Yeah, 2 and 2, heading into game number 5. All right, really solid opening here for game number 5. We have double Skirmisher and then just a bunch of counter spells. So we just want to roll out with the early creatures and try to keep their stuff off the board. Super simple kind of tempo sort of game plan here. Playing against a green deck, that should be a decent matchup for cards like Essence Scatter. They're likely to cast those big, like 4/4 tramplers later in the game. Leaf Crown Dryad, that is a fine trade for a Talkrop Skirmisher. And I am just going to roll out another Skirmisher here. Because I have Solemnity Vision for another instant play if they don't play a good spell, I could absolutely just hold up a counter spell, but I think it's best to just get the damage rolling immediately and then hold up the counters every other turn. I actually might want to play that Vision as a tapped land and maybe played too fast here. If I play that as a tap land, I lock in that I have 5 mana next turn, so I can play Lich and hold up Scatter. But I guess this way I get to just cast it, which is fun too. All right. Well, yeah, I guess I should have played it as a tap land at that point. Give them a little bit of life gain here to keep them more flexible. Removal spells. Might be a 2-color deck that's a little stuck on mana right now. I don't want to discard Treasure Cruise, but... Okay, good, I don't have to. Alright, they found their second color. They are Golgari. Stingy boy. Counter that, that's a 2-for-1. Okay, I need double blue and 1 up. I can spend a blue and then 1. 6 cards in grave, a blue 1 and hold up to 6, yeah. Boop, 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 boop. But I would exile the Skirmisher to do that. I can consider... I don't have enough blue mana. I can consider Surveil into the grave and have a Consider in grave, and then delve away the Consider and the Milled card. But then I don't have double blue up for the Void Shatter anyway. So I guess I'm just on Consider... Okay, Consider Angler works. Actually, genuinely. 6 cards in grave. Keep the Skirmisher. I could not have asked for a better card on top there, so... We have paid off for the 6-land Solemn Vision play. I guess, at least we know there's 6 lands all on the bottom. It did some digging for us, got us through that land clump. This is one of the issues with Delve, though, that I was talking about, is like... Alright, now this... Treasure Cruise is awkward. Because it is going to cost $1 million, but... Okay. Alright, they're going to need to board wipe to win this game, and even if they do, I've got the draw 3 coming up, because I just discarded a bunch of cards. 4 in grave already. If they board wipe, there's all these in grave. Probably cast this for 1, honestly, at that point. Fell Stinger, no sacrifice. Savage Punch for the fight. And that's 4 damage on board. That is game, and we are 3-2. We got a couple losses early, but then I completely forgot about it because I looked up the bonus sheets and everything. So I didn't feel like I was in a horrible position at the start of this draft, but technically I was. I've been teetering on the edge of defeat this whole time, and we have now balanced things out to get at least a 50-50 run here, at least 3 wins out of this draft. Alright, no black mana in this hand, but we have multiple early game blue spells this time, so it's actually a keep, and I knew there was a swamp on top, believe me or not. Fine to put this Skirmisher in grave, be able to reanimate that later, and just cast the Archaeologist turn 2 instead. Yep, and then I'll have the Void Shatter up on turn 3. Kind of wild, our Archaeologist manages to hit more consistently than our Solemn Vision so far. What are the odds? Archaeologist OP, actually. Wow, I could play a Gurmag Angler right now. I don't think I'm going to do that against a bunch of open blue mana when I have very reasonable other lines to play. Okay, I can predation them and see exactly what they're doing, but then I'm not holding up the Void Shatter. I'm a turn away from predationing and holding up at least the Devour Flesh at the same time. So I kind of want to do that. Would you like to counter my Devour Flesh? Nope, the Cutthroat is dead. Stormtide Leviathan, we found our finisher for sure. Exile 5, most obvious counterspell ever, but whatever. Get our threat on this board with protection. Don't mind that at all. Angler just outraces that really easily. And I have the Denrova Horror. I want them to have a permanent on board when I cast that. I'm gonna have to Predation as a tap land at this point. Can I see the full? There we go. Far and away. Turn a creature to its owner's hand. Turquoise sacks creature your choice. Okay. It's not that bad. Lock in for that Denrova Horror mana. That's good enough to counter. It's a 5 power flyer when they have a Wyvern on board. Okay, do you have your own Essence Scatter? I think that's the question here. So I'm no longer holding up a counter spell. I could play Lich and Stinger. It's like fine, I guess. I am at 16 life. Card draw is kind of spicy. And this could draw out the scatter if they have it. I'm gonna go to 12 here. Got a bunch of cards to toy around with. Double Denrova Horror is kind of messed up. They do get the Angel off this Linvala now since I bounced it. Which is kind of sad, but I can't really just bounce the Wyvern. Oh, they had a Void Shadow the whole time? Or at some point. That's pretty funny. It's actually kind of awkward for them here. Okay, I don't think I can hold on to double Angler. Stormtide Leviathan might genuinely be a discard soon. Okay. Yeah, because they're literally just a Flyers deck. This is just our worst matchup imaginable for Stormtide Leviathan. Nothing much to pick up with Possessed Scab. So we played Dinrova Horror and Gurmag Angler. Just letting them get another Linvala token. Guess I attack with just the Death Touchers here. I take 8 on the Crackback. Ah, this is rough. I gotta find, like, my bounce spell. Yeah, Stormtide Leviathan just sucks here. Because they just fly over. Black and 1. Exile 5 cards from grave. So everybody but the Skirmisher. I mean, I guess if they hit me with these, they're dead on the Crackback. So they're probably going to play like a removal spell or a blocker or something where I'm going to have to draw into some form of removal to win here. Yep, Jesse and Thief. So they block the 5/5, take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm literally 1 damage off. If I draw that bounce spell thingy off of either Lich, I win. Because clearing out the Linvala post-combat is still enough to not take lethal on the Crackback. Oh, unless they just hit all gas over there. My god, yeah. Thief plus Reckoning still? Dang. Yeah, I feel like we played so much card selection and card draw there. Got to 11 cards left, but still just hit slightly less action than our opponent. It feels rough. And we draw S and Scatter. Perfectly, imperfectly timed. That would have been really sweet, those Dinrova Horror turns. To potentially counter the Linvala on a recast. Alright. Yeah, that's dead on board no matter what. 3 and 3 it is. Rough ending there. Feel like our deck did not want to quite get there. We were so close with all that card draw and card selection, but could not find what we needed to get past the Flyers. There was the one turn of Dinrova Horroring Linvala instead of the Drake thingy. But I'm pretty sure the game ends basically the same way. Because we're stopping a lot more damage, making them recast the Linvala, and then like bouncing the token is not that bad on the future turn. I think it's really comparable, bouncing the Drake or the Linvala. I don't know. It's interesting to look back on. So 3 and 3 is the record for the deck. A very reasonable, very average record for a very reasonable, very average deck. This deck is missing one very key aspect of these Dimir control decks, and that is the interaction, the removal. As you can see from that last loss, that is where we got destroyed because we just don't have the removal to draw into in the deck. We already played both the Horrors and the Devour Flesh, so we needed to draw into specifically our one copy of Anchor to the Aether to really get there, or our Cloudfin Raptor for a chump block, our Murmuring Mystic. I don't remember what combination of these three cards we had drawn before that point in the game, but it's possible drawing one of those at that point would have saved us that game. So yeah, 3-3 is a pretty respectable run for this deck, I would say. I think it's really only lacking the removal, but that is a major key aspect of a control deck that you really need to have access to. And that was a big, big downside, a big thing costing us in those losses. Outside of that, the creature base to this deck, the card selection from the Tomebound Liches, fueling the delve of the Gurmag Anglers, the Dinrova Horrors to be great value plays in the late game, as well as like a Possessed Scabs. The creature base was just excellent. The spells that we had were pretty good. We just needed removal spells in this deck. So like something like cut a Dreadhound, an Archaeologist, a Leviathan, some combination of like these cards, or mainly cutting down a little bit on the creatures and throwing in some really great removal spells is where the deck could have been excellent, but we just could not manage to find those removal spells during the draft. And makes the deck very average at a 3-3 record today. But that was our first showing of the spells bonus sheet in Pioneer Masters. Does not seem like the most interesting bonus sheet ever. I'm just over here waiting for that devotion bonus sheet a couple weeks from now. But it was fine. If you really did not like the quantity of planeswalkers in the format, now is the time to draft it for a little bit, or when the devotion bonus sheet comes along as well, there aren't any planeswalkers in the devotion bonus sheet. But this does seem like a little bit of a slow period for the set, a little bit of a more boring time, which is fine because we've got some other pretty fun stuff going on. There's an arena open for the set coming up in a couple weekends. So we'll be doing that for some competitive sealed of the set. And then this weekend, there is Foundations Omniscience Draft. There's also Foundations Quick Drafts. There's plenty of other stuff to play on Arena right now, if this particular bonus sheet is not your jam. But as for now, for me, that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for supporting the channel, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in the recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.